You won't believe how Genius King's guards got this horse into the box. The kingdom was alive with excitement. People were busy in the streets, merchants shouted the day's deals, and children ran laughing between the stalls. But amid all this noise and color, the royal palace had a problem, a very unusual and very big problem. The king, a wise and curious man who loved new challenges, had recently acquired a horse unlike any other. It was not just large and strong, but it had a spirit that made people both admire and worry about it. Its eyes shone with intelligence, and it moved with a grace that made even the most experienced riders pause. This horse, named Thunderstrike by the king himself, was so majestic that people said he seemed almost magical. But the king did not want Thunderstrike to roam freely in the stables with other horses. No, he had something special in mind, a large box, custom-built to keep the horse safe, comfortable, and close to the palace. The box, however, was designed with precision, more for elegance than space. When the guards measured the dimensions and compared them to the horse's size, all of them shook their heads. "This is impossible," they muttered to each other. Even the head of the stables, a man who had cared for hundreds of horses in his life, frowned deeply. "There is no way this horse will fit in that box without harm." The king, however, was not one to be discouraged. He believed that every problem had a solution if approached with patience and intelligence. He called his most trusted guards together and explained the challenge. "I want Thunderstrike in that box," he said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "But it must be done carefully. We must respect the horse and we must succeed without rushing. Use your minds, not just your strength." The guards looked at each other nervously. They had been trained to fight and protect, not to solve puzzles with living creatures. Yet the king's confidence inspired them. Slowly, they began to think of ways to accomplish this extraordinary task. The first step, they realized, was understanding the horse. Thunderstrike was not like ordinary horses. He had a temperament that was calm yet cautious, and he could sense tension in people's voices and gestures. If he felt threatened, he could panic, and a panicked horse of his size could cause serious damage. So the guards decided that rushing or forcing anything was out of the question. Over the next few days, the guards spent long hours with Thunderstrike. They walked around the box with him, letting him smell it, touch it with his nose, and even step in and out as part of small practice exercises. They observed how he reacted to different gestures, what calmed him down, and what made him nervous. Some guards noticed that he responded well to gentle praise and soft treats. Others saw that he liked having his space respected. If someone moved too quickly, he would step back, his ears pinned slightly as a warning. Every detail mattered because one mistake could ruin the entire effort. Meanwhile, the box itself was adjusted. The builders widened the entrance just enough so that the horse could fit, while reinforcing the walls to keep them strong. The floor was cushioned with fresh straw, and the lighting inside was soft to avoid startling the animal. The guards even made a small ramp to help Thunderstrike step in more easily, though they were not sure yet if it would be needed. Everything had to be perfect before they attempted the real move. The story of the challenge soon spread throughout the palace. Servants whispered about it in the kitchens, and courtiers discussed it during afternoon teas. Many thought the king had taken on an impossible task, but others were curious to see how it would unfold. Some even placed small bets among themselves. "He'll never fit that horse in there," one said. "I think they'll find a clever way," another replied. This small challenge, it seemed, was capturing the imagination of everyone, from the lowest servant to the highest noble. For the guards, the pressure was intense. They were no strangers to responsibility, but this was unlike any mission they had undertaken before. They could not rely on brute force alone. They had to think like strategists, planners, and even psychologists. The key, they realized, was to work together as a team, each guard understanding his role perfectly. One would calm the horse from the front, speaking gently and offering reassurance. Another would guide the legs carefully, making sure Thunderstrike did not stumble. And a third would monitor the surroundings, ensuring nothing distracted the horse or startled him mid-move. Every evening, the guards gathered to discuss progress and make new plans. They practiced their gestures, refined their approach, and tested their patience. Some days were frustrating. Thunderstrike would refuse to approach the box, stepping back and flicking his tail in annoyance. But the guards never gave up. They learned to read his body language, to adjust their movements, and to wait for him to feel comfortable. Slowly, trust began to form. The horse started to understand that the guards were not a threat, and the guards learned how to guide him without forcing him. The king himself occasionally visited, observing quietly from a distance. He did not interfere, but he offered encouragement. "Patience, my friends," he would say. "The horse will understand when the time is right. You only need to show him kindness and intelligence." His words were a reminder that the solution was not just about clever tools or measurements, but about understanding and respect. As the days passed, the palace became a quiet stage for a fascinating dance between humans and horse. Thunderstrike would move around the box, sniffing, nudging, and testing the space. The guards would follow his movements carefully, never forcing, always guiding. The challenge was not just physical, it was a test of observation, empathy, and teamwork. And each small success brought a spark of hope to everyone involved. By the end of the week, it was clear that the guards had begun to crack the puzzle. Thunderstrike no longer hesitated to approach the box. He seemed almost curious now, moving his head closer, inspecting the entrance, and even stepping partway inside when invited. The guards smiled at each other, knowing that the real test, the final maneuver, was approaching. But for now, the first part of the journey had been successful. They had earned the horse's trust. The people of the palace, though unaware of the precise details, sensed something extraordinary was happening. Even the courtiers who had doubted the guards' abilities began to whisper among themselves. Perhaps it can be done after all. The challenge, which had seemed impossible, now appeared achievable, and everyone waited in suspense for the moment when Thunderstrike would finally enter the box fully. The stage was set. The guards, the horse, and the box were ready. What had started as a daunting problem was slowly turning into an opportunity to demonstrate ingenuity, patience, and the power of understanding. The kingdom would soon witness a feat that none had imagined possible, all because a group of determined guards believed that even the most impossible challenge could be overcome with care, intelligence, and teamwork. After days of careful observation and small practice exercises, the guards felt that the moment of preparation had finally arrived. They had learned a lot about Thunderstrike, the horse with a mind as sharp as his strength. They knew he was intelligent, curious, and cautious, and that patience was the only way to earn his cooperation. Now they had to get ready for the real task, maneuvering him into the specially designed box. The first step was to ensure that everything in the stable was perfect. The guards worked tirelessly, polishing the floors so there would be no slippery spots, arranging fresh straw to cushion Thunderstrike's hooves, and making sure the lighting was just right. Too bright and the horse might get startled. Too dim and he could misjudge his steps. Every detail mattered and the guards left nothing to chance. But the preparations were not just physical. They also had to prepare themselves. Each guard practiced the gestures they would use, rehearsed the words they would speak, and memorized the positions they would take. One guard would stand at the horse's front, softly holding a lead rope and speaking gentle words to guide his head. Another would be at the side, ready to direct his legs and ensure they were positioned correctly. A third would monitor the surroundings, making sure that no sudden noise or movement would distract Thunderstrike. Coordination, they knew, would be the key to success. The guards also brought small treats, apples, carrots, and sugar cubes, which they had tested in previous days. Thunderstrike loved these treats, but only when offered calmly and with respect. The guards planned to use them to reward him at each step, encouraging him to cooperate without force. They had learned that fear or pressure would only make the horse resist. By using kindness and understanding, they could turn what seemed impossible into something achievable. Meanwhile, the palace was buzzing with curiosity. News of the plan had spread quietly among the staff, and everyone was eager to see if the guards could actually succeed. Some doubted it would work. "The horse is too big," they whispered. "No box can hold him." Others were more optimistic, believing that with enough skill and patience, the guards might pull off this incredible feat. Children pressed their faces against the stable's railings, hoping to catch a glimpse of the horse and the preparations, while older nobles leaned on their canes and watched with a mixture of skepticism and interest. As the day of the main attempt approached, the guards gathered early in the morning to review their plan one final time. They checked the box, the ropes, and the treats. They reminded each other to speak softly and move slowly. The success of the task depended not on strength alone, but on teamwork, intelligence, and respect for the horse. Even the king, who visited briefly, nodded approvingly. "Remember," he said, "this is as much about patience and understanding as it is about skill. Thunderstrike will respond to your care, not your force." When the time finally came, the stable was quiet. Only the guards and a few palace attendants were present, all giving the horse space and calm energy. Thunderstrike stood proudly in the center, his coat shining under the soft light. His ears flicked attentively, sensing the anticipation in the air. He seemed aware that something important was about to happen, and his eyes, deep and intelligent, scanned the surroundings carefully. The first guard stepped forward, holding the lead rope loosely. He spoke in a soft, melodic tone, praising Thunderstrike and offering a carrot as a reward. The horse approached cautiously, sniffing the treat, then the guard's hand and then the entrance to the box. He hesitated as expected but did not back away. This small step was a victory in itself. It showed that the horse trusted the guards enough to consider moving toward the box. The second guard moved carefully to the side, ready to guide Thunderstrike's legs. He spoke quietly, encouraging the horse to lift a hoof and step forward. Thunderstrike hesitated for a moment, testing the stability of the floor and the openness of the box. Slowly, almost like a game, he lifted his front leg and placed it inside the box. A cheer of relief and quiet excitement passed between the guards. They knew this was a crucial step, and the horse had taken it willingly. Next came the more difficult part, moving the horse's massive body completely into the box. Thunderstrike was strong and independent, and the guards had to be precise. They guided him gently, using their bodies to create a path while speaking in soothing tones. The horse moved slowly, inch by inch, testing each step and trusting the calm presence of the guards. Every movement required attention, every step was carefully monitored, and every mistake could have caused a setback. But the horse seemed to understand the plan. He nudged his head against the first guard's shoulder, a sign of trust. He stepped forward with care, following the gentle guidance and the encouragement of the treats. It was as if Thunderstrike knew that the guards were not trying to force him, but to help him achieve something extraordinary. His intelligence, combined with the guards' careful planning, made an incredible team. Outside the box, the third guard kept watch. He ensured that nothing disturbed the horse's concentration. A sudden shadow, a loose piece of straw, or even a tiny noise could make Thunderstrike hesitate or panic. But everything remained calm and controlled. The guards had created a peaceful environment, which allowed the horse to focus on the task at hand. As the minutes passed, Thunderstrike's confidence grew. He stepped fully into the box, his hooves touching the straw and testing the floor. The guards continued to guide him, making small adjustments to ensure he was comfortable and secure. When his body was completely inside, they let him pause and take a moment to adjust. Thunderstrike looked around, his ears twitching slightly, and then lowered his head as if acknowledging the completion of the task. A wave of relief and joy passed through the guards. They had done what everyone thought was impossible. The horse, majestic and intelligent, was now safely inside the box, calm and comfortable. The careful planning, the gentle guidance, and the understanding of Thunderstrike's behavior had all worked together perfectly. The guards exchanged proud smiles, knowing they had accomplished something remarkable without ever using force or intimidation. The king arrived shortly after and was amazed to see the horse standing confidently in the box. He praised the guards warmly, acknowledging their intelligence, patience, and teamwork. "You have done more than fit a horse into a box," he said. "You have shown that understanding and care can solve even the most difficult problems." Thunderstrike, as if sensing the king's approval, nuzzled the nearest guard and flicked his tail in contentment. News of the accomplishment spread quickly throughout the kingdom. People were amazed that the guards had not only succeeded, but had done so with such care and intelligence. Stories of the event were shared in the marketplace, the town square, and even in neighboring kingdoms. Children were inspired by the tale, learning that patience and teamwork could overcome even the most impossible challenges. For the guards, the experience became a lesson in more than just horse management. They had learned the importance of observation, empathy, and creative problem-solving. They had realized that strength alone was not enough, and that true skill involved understanding others, whether they were human or animal. The success of the day became a source of pride, not just for the guards, but for the entire palace, and it strengthened the bond between humans and animals in the kingdom. As evening fell, the stable was quiet again. Thunderstrike rested comfortably in his box, while the guards tidied the area and reflected on the day's success. They knew that this was only the beginning of a new kind of relationship between humans and horse, one built on trust, patience, and understanding. And though the challenge had seemed impossible at first, they had shown that with the right approach, even the most difficult tasks could be accomplished. With Thunderstrike safely inside the box, the palace settled into an air of quiet amazement. But the challenge was not over yet. The guards knew that getting the horse into the box was only the first step. Now, they had to ensure that Thunderstrike remained calm, comfortable, and willing to stay there whenever needed. This required not only vigilance, but also further understanding of the horse's habits, behavior, and personality. The morning began with a soft golden light spilling into the stable, highlighting the horse's gleaming coat. Thunderstrike stirred slightly, stretching his long legs and shaking his mane. The guards observed him carefully, noting how he adjusted his posture in the box. It was clear that the horse was intelligent and aware of his surroundings. He examined the walls, sniffed the fresh straw, and stepped lightly from one corner to another, testing the space. Each movement was a silent message, a clue about his comfort and confidence. The guards took careful notes. They had realized that every horse had a unique personality, and Thunderstrike was no exception. He was curious, alert, and responsive, but he could also be cautious and stubborn if pushed too hard. They decided that the best approach was to continue building trust while guiding him gradually. This required patience, gentleness, and creativity. To begin, the guards introduced small routines. Every morning, they would lead Thunderstrike gently in and out of the box, using calm words and soft gestures. They rewarded him with treats when he followed instructions, reinforcing positive behavior without forcing him. Slowly, Thunderstrike began to associate the box with safety, comfort, and even play. He seemed to understand that the box was not a trap, but a place where he could relax and feel secure. The guards also paid attention to subtle signals. When Thunderstrike flicked his ears back or shifted his weight, they interpreted these as signs of uncertainty or discomfort. They adjusted their approach immediately, slowing down their movements or offering reassurance. Over time, the horse's hesitations became less frequent, replaced by curiosity and even eagerness. It was as if Thunderstrike understood that the guards respected him, and he responded with trust in return. One of the most important lessons the guards learned was the power of consistency. Every movement, word, and gesture had to be predictable. Thunderstrike needed to know what to expect, and he thrived when routines were followed. The guards established a schedule for feeding, grooming, and guiding him into the box. This regularity reassured the horse and made him more willing to cooperate. Even the smallest details mattered: the order of the treats, the angle of a gentle touch, and the tone of their voices. While they worked with Thunderstrike, the guards also considered his environment. They ensured that the stable was quiet, free from sudden noises or distractions. They checked that the walls of the box were smooth and safe, without any sharp edges that could hurt him. The straw was fresh and comfortable, and the air was kept clean and fresh. Every precaution was taken to make the box not just a safe space, but a pleasant one. Despite their careful planning, there were still challenges. Thunderstrike occasionally tested the limits, stepping backward, shaking his head, or pausing in the entrance. These moments required patience and calm handling. The guards never forced him. Instead, they waited for him to relax and try again, gently guiding him with encouragement and soft words. Every small success was celebrated, reinforcing the bond between the horse and the guards. The training sessions also became an opportunity for the guards to deepen their understanding of animal behavior. They observed how Thunderstrike responded to light, shadows, and even the movement of other people nearby. They learned to anticipate his reactions and adjust their approach accordingly. In many ways, this task had transformed the guards into careful observers, patient teachers, and skilled problem solvers. It was no longer just a matter of fitting a horse into a box. It had become a lesson in empathy and intelligence. As days turned into weeks, the palace staff began to notice changes in Thunderstrike's behavior. The horse, once cautious and distant, had grown confident and even playful. He would nuzzle the guards' hands, follow their gestures eagerly, and step into the box without hesitation. The bond of trust that had been carefully cultivated was now evident to all who saw him. Even the courtiers, who had once doubted the guards' abilities, were impressed. They marveled at how a large, powerful horse could respond so willingly to patient guidance. One morning, the head guard decided it was time to test Thunderstrike's comfort level further. He asked the horse to remain in the box for a longer period while still offering treats and gentle words. Thunderstrike initially seemed surprised, glancing around and adjusting his stance. But the familiar voice, gentle presence, and soft rewards reassured him. He settled into the straw, lowering his head as if acknowledging that this was a safe and pleasant space. The guards watched with quiet satisfaction, knowing that their efforts had paid off. The success of these exercises also had a positive effect on the guards themselves. They had learned that patience, observation, and understanding were far more effective than force or urgency. Each day spent with Thunderstrike strengthened their confidence, teamwork, and problem-solving skills. They shared their insights with each other, discussing what worked best and how to handle new challenges. The task had become a journey of learning and growth for both the horse and his caretakers. Meanwhile, the king continued to watch from a distance, occasionally visiting the stable to observe progress. He admired the care and dedication of his guards, praising them for their intelligence and perseverance. "You have done more than manage a horse," he said one day. "You have shown the kingdom how patience, respect, and understanding can turn a challenge into a success. Remember this lesson, for it applies to all things, not just Thunderstrike." The story of Thunderstrike's training began to spread beyond the palace walls. People in the nearby villages heard about the guards' clever methods and the horse's intelligence. The tale inspired respect and admiration, showing that even seemingly impossible tasks could be achieved with thoughtfulness and care. Children dreamed of visiting the palace to see the famous horse, while young trainees learned the importance of observation and patience in caring for animals. As the guards continued their work, they also discovered the value of small gestures. A gentle scratch behind the ears, a soft word of praise, or a well-timed treat could make a huge difference in Thunderstrike's willingness to cooperate. They learned that even large, strong animals respond best to kindness and respect. This insight became one of the most important lessons of the entire experience. By the end of this period of training, Thunderstrike was fully comfortable in the box. He could enter and exit calmly, respond to the guards, guidance, and even enjoy his time inside. The box, once thought too small and impossible, had become a place of safety, trust, and comfort. The guards had not only solved a physical problem, but they had also cultivated a relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. The success of this stage of the plan was celebrated quietly among the guards. They understood that patience, creativity, and careful observation had turned what seemed like an impossible challenge into a triumph. Thunderstrike had not been forced or coerced. He had cooperated willingly, a testament to the skill and intelligence of the guards. Their teamwork had created a bond between human and horse that was stronger than any obstacle. Even as evening fell and the stable grew quiet, the guards reflected on their progress. Thunderstrike rested calmly in the box, his eyes soft and attentive, and the guards felt a deep sense of satisfaction. They had achieved something remarkable through patience, intelligence, and understanding. And though more challenges would come in the days ahead, they were confident that together, they could handle anything. The story of this extraordinary relationship, the horse, the guards, and the specially designed box, would be remembered in the kingdom for years to come. It was more than a tale of problem-solving. It was a lesson in patience, trust, and the power of gentle guidance. Thunderstrike had become a symbol of what could be achieved when care, intelligence, and respect were combined. And the guards had proven that no challenge was too great when approached with thoughtfulness and teamwork. The morning sun cast a warm glow across the royal stables, and the air was filled with a quiet sense of anticipation. Today was a special day. For weeks, the guards had been working tirelessly to train Thunderstrike, the intelligent and majestic horse, to enter and remain in the specially designed box comfortably. They had built trust, observed his every movement, and developed a plan that relied on patience, understanding, and teamwork. Now it was time for the ultimate test, the day when they would guide Thunderstrike into the box fully and demonstrate their extraordinary accomplishment to the king. The guards gathered early, just as the first light of dawn streamed through the windows. They inspected the stable one last time, ensuring that the straw was fresh, The floor was safe, and the box itself was perfect. Every detail mattered. They had learned that even the smallest distraction could make Thunderstrike hesitate, and hesitation could turn into resistance. The guards were determined to succeed, not through force, but through careful planning, observation, and gentle guidance. Thunderstrike, meanwhile, seemed aware that something important was about to happen. His ears twitched as he scanned the room, and his eyes gleamed with curiosity. He had become confident over the past weeks, but he was also alert, careful, and intelligent. He seemed to understand that today's task was different from the ordinary routines of entering and exiting the box. There was a sense of anticipation in the air, and the horse responded to it with both curiosity and caution. The guards approached him slowly, speaking in soft, soothing tones. They offered a carrot, which Thunderstrike accepted calmly, signaling that he trusted them and was ready to cooperate. The first guard gently held the lead rope, guiding the horse toward the entrance of the box. The second guard positioned himself beside Thunderstrike, ready to support his legs and body if needed, while the third guard monitored the surroundings to prevent any distractions. Every movement was synchronized, every gesture calculated to ensure safety and comfort. As Thunderstrike stepped closer to the box, he paused, sniffing the straw and testing the space with his hooves. He seemed to be assessing whether the box was safe, just as the guards had anticipated. The head guard spoke softly, praising him and offering a treat. Slowly, Thunderstrike lifted his front legs and placed them inside the box, a signal that he was willing to proceed. The guards exchanged quiet smiles, knowing that this first step was crucial. The next challenge was moving the horse's large, powerful body fully into the box. Thunderstrike was not an ordinary horse. He was strong, intelligent, and cautious. The guards had to guide him carefully, ensuring that each step was safe and confident. They moved slowly, inch by inch, speaking soothing words and using gentle gestures. Thunderstrike followed their guidance, stepping into the box with remarkable calmness, his eyes focused and alert. It was clear that the trust they had built over weeks had created a bond between horse and humans that allowed him to cooperate willingly. The palace attendants and a few nobles watched from a safe distance, unable to hide their amazement. They had doubted whether such a feat was possible, but now they witnessed the impossible becoming reality. Thunderstrike, the massive horse, moved gracefully into a box that had once seemed far too small for him. The precision, patience, and intelligence of the guards were on full display. Every movement was deliberate, every action calculated, and every gesture designed to ensure the horse's comfort and safety. The final moments required extreme care. Thunderstrike had almost fully entered the box, but his hind legs were still outside. The guards encouraged him gently, speaking in soft tones and offering small rewards. The horse responded, stepping carefully into the box. His hooves touched the straw, and he adjusted his stance, lowering his head in a gesture of calm and acceptance. The guard stepped back slightly, giving him space to settle, and Thunderstrike stood proudly, fully inside the box, calm and composed. A wave of relief and joy swept over the guards. They had achieved what many believed to be impossible. The horse, large, intelligent, and strong, was safely and willingly inside the box. Their careful planning, patience, and understanding had paid off. Thunderstrike, for his part, seemed to enjoy the experience, moving comfortably inside the box and responding positively to gentle praise and treats. The bond of trust and respect between horse and guards was evident to all who watched. The king arrived shortly afterward, having heard the news of the successful maneuver. He stepped into the stable and observed the scene with a mixture of pride and amazement. "This is remarkable," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "You have done more than guide a horse into a box. You have shown the kingdom the power of patience, intelligence, and teamwork." Thunderstrike, sensing the king's approval, nuzzled the nearest guard gently, as if acknowledging the success of their efforts. The palace staff and visitors marveled at the accomplishment. They had witnessed a seemingly impossible task completed not through force, but through respect, careful planning, and understanding. Thunderstrike had become a symbol of what could be achieved when humans worked together with intelligence and patience, rather than relying solely on strength or power. The story spread quickly, inspiring awe and admiration throughout the kingdom. The guards knew that this was only the beginning. While they had successfully guided Thunderstrike into the box, They also understood that maintaining the horse's comfort and cooperation required ongoing effort. They continued their daily routines, offering gentle guidance, rewards, and consistent care. Thunderstrike remained calm and confident, moving into the box willingly and even enjoying his time inside. Through this process, the guards had learned valuable lessons. They discovered that intelligence, patience, and careful observation were far more effective than force. They realized that building trust required time, consistency, and understanding. And they had proven that even the most challenging problems could be solved with teamwork, empathy, and creativity. These lessons extended beyond the stable, influencing how the guards approached other tasks in the palace and in their personal lives. The success of this event also had a broader impact. The story of Thunderstrike and the guards became legendary throughout the kingdom. Children were inspired by the tale, learning that patience and teamwork could overcome obstacles. Young trainees observed the careful techniques used to guide the horse, understanding that respect and understanding were essential in handling powerful animals. Even neighboring kingdoms heard of the story, admiring the creativity and intelligence of the guards. In the days that followed, the palace continued to celebrate the accomplishment quietly. Thunderstrike thrived in his box, enjoying the safe and comfortable environment. The guards continued their careful routines, reinforcing the horse's trust and ensuring that every step was guided with patience and respect. The bond between the horse and his caretakers grew stronger, creating a harmonious relationship built on understanding and mutual respect. The final test, though completed successfully, left a lasting impression on everyone involved. It was a reminder that intelligence and patience could achieve what seemed impossible. The guards had not only solved a practical problem, but had also demonstrated a lesson in empathy, observation, and teamwork. Thunderstrike, the majestic horse, became a living symbol of these values, inspiring admiration and respect throughout the kingdom. As evening fell and the stable grew quiet, the guards reflected on their journey. They had faced an extraordinary challenge, worked together as a team, and achieved the impossible through care, intelligence, and patience. Thunderstrike rested calmly in the box, a testament to their dedication and skill. And though the task had seemed daunting at first, the guards knew that their approach, built on trust, observation, and respect, had created a remarkable success story that would be remembered for generations. The palace would continue to tell the story of Thunderstrike and his brilliant guardians. It was more than a tale of problem-solving. It was a story of patience, understanding, and the power of careful planning. The horse, the guards, and the box had all become symbols of what could be accomplished when intelligence and respect guide human actions. And as night fell, the warm glow of lanterns reflected on Thunderstrike's shiny coat. A quiet reminder that extraordinary achievements were possible when determination, creativity, and kindness were combined after the incredible success of guiding Thunderstrike into the box, life. In the royal palace settled into a new rhythm. The guards, who had spent weeks carefully planning, observing, and working with the horse, now had the satisfaction of seeing their efforts come to life. Thunderstrike had become not only a majestic presence in the palace, but also a symbol of patience, trust, and intelligence. Every day, as the guards entered the stable, they were reminded of the extraordinary journey that had brought them to this point. The horse, once cautious and hesitant, had grown confident and comfortable in his specially designed box. He would enter and exit with ease, responding calmly to the gentle guidance of the guards. But the story did not end with simple cooperation. Thunderstrike's intelligence and curiosity meant that he learned quickly, and even began to anticipate the routines and actions of those around him. The guards marveled at his perceptiveness, realizing that their relationship with the horse had evolved into something deeper than simple care. It was a partnership built on respect, observation, and trust. The palace staff and visitors were fascinated. Word of Thunderstrike's cooperation and the guards' ingenuity had spread far and wide. People from nearby villages traveled to witness the remarkable horse and the story of how the guards had solved the seemingly impossible task. They watched as the guards guided Thunderstrike with precision and patience, and they marveled at the trust between the horse and his caretakers. The story became a lesson not only for those interested in animals, but also for anyone who faced challenges that seemed too great to overcome. The guards, however, did not become complacent. They understood that maintaining this trust required consistency and continued care. Every day, they followed routines that reinforced Thunderstrike's comfort and confidence. They offered treats, soft words of encouragement, and gentle guidance. They paid attention to the horse's behavior, noticing even the smallest changes in posture, movement, or expression. Each observation allowed them to adjust their approach, ensuring that Thunderstrike felt secure and respected at all times. Through this careful attention, the guards discovered even more about the horse's personality. Thunderstrike enjoyed exploring his surroundings, stretching his long legs, and sniffing every corner of the stable. He responded positively to soft praise and gestures of affection, demonstrating a keen awareness of the intentions behind human actions. The guards were impressed by his intelligence and adaptability, and they learned that even powerful and majestic animals could respond beautifully to patience, kindness, and understanding. The king continued to take a personal interest in Thunderstrike's progress. He often visited the stable, observing the interactions between the horse and the guards. He praised the guards for their intelligence, patience, and teamwork, emphasizing the importance of their approach as a lesson for the entire kingdom. "What you have accomplished is extraordinary," the king would say. "You have shown that respect, observation, and understanding can solve challenges that might seem impossible. Let this example inspire others to approach difficulties with care and thoughtfulness, rather than haste and force." The story of Thunderstrike and the guards soon became legendary. Songs and poems were written about the clever methods used to guide the horse into the box, and storytellers shared the tale in markets, villages, and towns. Children were especially captivated, dreaming of visiting the palace to see the horse that had become famous not only for his strength and intelligence, but also for the trust and patience that had brought him and the guards together. The story became a symbol of what could be achieved when people worked together with intelligence, empathy, and creativity. The guards themselves felt a deep sense of pride, but they also remained humble. They understood that the success of the task was not just their own accomplishment, but the result of cooperation, observation, and mutual respect. They often shared their insights with others in the palace, teaching younger guards and trainees the importance of patience, careful planning, and understanding behavior, lessons that extended far beyond the stable. They explained how observing small details, being consistent, and responding gently to hesitation could turn seemingly impossible challenges into achievable goals. Thunderstrike, meanwhile, thrived in his environment. He had become comfortable not only in the box, but also with the routines of the palace. He followed the guards' guidance willingly, demonstrating an intelligence and awareness that impressed everyone who observed him. The relationship between the horse and the guards had evolved into a partnership, one in which trust and mutual respect were the foundation. The horse responded not out of fear or obligation, but because he understood that cooperation brought safety, comfort, and rewards. Over time, the success of this experience influenced how animals were cared for throughout the kingdom. Other stables adopted the guards' methods, emphasizing patience, observation, and gentle guidance over force or intimidation. Trainers and caretakers learned from the example set by Thunderstrike and his guards, realizing that understanding an animal's personality, habits, and reactions was far more effective than relying solely on strength or authority. The story became a model for humane and intelligent animal care, inspiring change across the region. Even beyond the palace, the tale held lessons for people in all walks of life. It illustrated that challenges which seem impossible at first can be solved through patience, creativity, and teamwork. The guards' methodical approach, combined with their respect for Thunderstrike's intelligence and behavior, demonstrated that careful observation and thoughtful action often lead to better results than force or haste. This principle was applied not only to animals, but also to leadership, education, and problem-solving in the kingdom. The bond between Thunderstrike and the guards also brought personal growth to those involved. The guards learned the value of empathy, observation, and patience. They realized that understanding and respecting others, whether human or animal, was essential for success. The experience fostered teamwork, communication, and creative problem-solving, shaping the guards into more skilled, thoughtful, and wise individuals. They carried these lessons with them into every task, influencing the palace and the kingdom in positive ways. The horse himself became a living symbol of trust and intelligence. Visitors marveled at his calmness, responsiveness, and awareness, while the guards' skill in guiding him became widely respected. Thunderstrike's story was a reminder that even the most powerful and majestic creatures respond best to kindness, understanding, and gentle guidance. The palace and the kingdom celebrated the accomplishment, knowing that it was more than just a practical solution. It was a lesson in patience, respect, and the power of human and animal cooperation. Years later, the story of Thunderstrike and the clever guards was still told in the kingdom. Children grew up hearing the tale of the horse who fit into the box, marveling at the intelligence and patience required to achieve such a feat. The guards' ingenuity became a model for problem-solving and teamwork, demonstrating that careful observation, planning, and respect could overcome even the most daunting challenges. Thunderstrike himself remained a beloved presence in the palace, a symbol of the lasting impact that trust, kindness, and intelligence could create. In the quiet moments of the evening, as the sun set over the palace and the stable grew calm, the guards would often reflect on the journey they had shared with Thunderstrike. They remembered the first days of hesitation and doubt, the careful planning, and the gradual building of trust. They thought of the moments when patience and understanding had turned resistance into cooperation and fear into confidence. The story of those days was a testament to the power of intelligence, empathy, and teamwork, and it remained a source of pride and inspiration for the guards and the kingdom alike. The lessons learned from Thunderstrike's journey extended far beyond the stable. The importance of patience, observation, and respect became guiding principles in the palace, influencing how people approached challenges and interacted with others. The story became a symbol of hope and possibility, reminding everyone that even the most difficult tasks could be accomplished through careful thought, teamwork, and kindness. Thunderstrike, the magnificent horse, and the brilliant guards had created a legacy that would inspire generations to come. In the end, the palace remembered not just the clever guards or the majestic horse, but the extraordinary bond that had formed between them. A bond built on trust, patience, and respect. A bond that had turned an impossible challenge into a lasting achievement. The kingdom celebrated their story, sharing it with children, travelers, and visitors, ensuring that the lessons of intelligence, empathy, and teamwork would never be forgotten. And so, Thunderstrike stood proudly in his box, a living reminder that extraordinary accomplishments are possible when patience, understanding, and creativity guide human actions.